Oh,
Boom, we're live.
here we go. Okay. Let me go to my channel, see what's going on over there. Hey
Yeah,
guys,
we have people.
long time no see. There we go. Okay.
We're back. 2.5 Oyajis. How you been, man?
Good. Wow, really busy. I
Yeah.
haven't been able to. I'm kind of on vacation, but I'm still super busy. All these other problems in my life, but little things. But how about you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm off to Singapore like first thing
Oh,
in the morning.
oh wow. What for?
But that's work. Work.
Huh.
But yeah, that should be fun. Gotta go.
Singapore. Or
Yeah.
they have all the funny laws, right? You can't flick your ticket, and you can't chew gum. You can't have any gum on your
Definitely
suitcase,
can't chew
right?
gum. You can't spray paint cars. You can't,
Can't steal signs, stop signs, right?
definitely can't do that. And they have capital punishment for like anything above small amounts of drugs and stuff like that. Like you can be killed. It's pretty tough.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How long are you gonna be there?
I'll be going there Monday, coming back Friday. So total,
Oh, wait,
just
oh,
work. So it should be pretty
that's nice.
sweet. Yeah.
That's nice. So let's say hello to our guest here, Jan Mons.
Yeah.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Welcome to
First,
Mexico.
rock it in.
Laura.
Yeah.
Second.
There we go.
Johnny Yoni, hello. Believe in
Yeah.
yourself. Good. Cerebus Tenshi. Beware of
Yep.
the fifth. The fifth, okay. Let's see. People are talking about hotel or something.
People talking about what?
Yeah, my trip to Japan, Cerebus Tenshi coming in May, and he got hotel for 40,000 yen for 5 nights. Seems a little expensive for Suzuka. Oh, rally. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. If it's like the F1 or something, or rally, it'll be probably expensive. Yeah, it'd be super cheap any other time of year, I think.
Well, depending
It's
where you
kind of
stay.
dependent. Well, you're pretty close to, I guess, Mount Fuji and stuff there. And I mean, Shizuoka's great. You got the beach and the onsen and everything there. But yeah, Suzuka
Suzuka.
itself.
Suzuka.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. There's not
uh,
much else other than that. Suzuka's kind of inland. It's kind of nothing. But
well,
yeah.
I'm confused because there's a Suzuka in Miyaken. There's a Suzuka circuit.
Am I wrong? I always thought. Sorry, I could be totally wrong. I thought that Suzuka was in Shizuoka.
I think it's
Oh,
in
it's in
Miya.
Mia. It's in
Yeah.
Mia. I was wrong. I was wrong.
I was
Damn.
like, there are two of them? Well,
Yeah,
maybe.
Mount Fuji would be pretty small. In fact, invisible.
So I'll give you some very interesting info. Like, I got a lot of things to talk to you about.
Please hit me.
My parents are coming in April for one night, one day.
One night
and
only?
they're going
Wow.
to jump on a cruise ship and go to Singapore.
Oh, nice.
They're going to be
They should
stopping.
chew all their gum before they leave.
They're going to be in Fukuoka and Hong Kong and Vietnam and I think Taiwan and eventually their final stop is Singapore. But
Nice.
so I thought I wanted them to stay near, kind of in town, because my father's leg isn't so good. He doesn't want to walk too much, and my mom loves shopping. So we'll put them somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. After Singapore, they're coming back to Nagoya.
Oh,
They're going to
nice.
Tokyo, go to Singapore, then
Yeah.
they'll fly to Nagoya, where I live,
Yeah.
and then we're going to hang out for about a week.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me find them a nice hotel. So I went around, I checked out a couple of hotels, and my mom is a bit of a diva. I don't know if I've ever told
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
She's a hard customer. She's the
That's
man
where you
who-
get it from.
Oh, right. Yeah, I could care less where I stay as long as it's cheap and clean.
Yeah.
But my mom is not like that. My dad also, now in his old age, he prefers to travel business class, first class, whenever he can. He's spending, as he reminds me, he's always spending my inheritance. He says.
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to a
Yeah.
hotel, checked one out near my school, sent them a picture. They didn't like it. It was a little bit too cheap. It was clean and fine, but it was a little bit too, nothing special. It's like,
Yeah.
this is kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I thought, okay, there's a new Chunichi building about 2 blocks up, and inside the
Yeah.
building they have a Royal Park iconic hotel, and they have one in Tokyo too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a chain, but it's huge. So I go up there. It's gorgeous, beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
There, it starts from the 23rd floor to the 21st floor, whatever. I go up there, and it is a cute little, it's not very important, but little cute, proper Japanese girl. And I asked her, I explained to her, I said, in Japanese, I told her, my mom's going to be, I'd like to see a room, take a video and send it to her before we And she's like, "Oh well, I'm a trainee here, so let me get someone who works full time." And this gentleman comes out.
Yeah.
He's tall. He's a little bit taller than me, slightly taller.
Hmm.
Blonde hair, blue eyes. Speaks flawless Japanese.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, and as I'm speaking Japanese to him, and you ever get that weird feeling like, wow, I'm speaking Japanese to another foreigner.
Yeah.
And once in a while that happens, right? So
Yeah.
and then like we're talking, and he's like, oh yes, he's very serious, and he's not smiling at all. I said, oh yes, well, we could do that. Yes, okay, let me think about that for a minute. And then I said, I switched to English. I said, would it be more comfortable if we spoke English? And he said,
Yeah.
and he started speaking in a French accent. Goes, oh yes, I can speak English too, but of course that's not a French accent. Anyway,
Pepe Le Pew. We all know we all know what French sounds like.
So then a few minutes into this, I mean, less than a minute, less than 30 seconds in to the English conversation, he said that his face completely changes. He starts smiling, and then I knew.
What?
He knew who I was.
Ah, yeah.
He's like, do you make videos on YouTube? And I was like, oh, right. And I was with my coworker I brought my coworker along. She's a woman.
Yeah.
Her taste she might have something to say about the hotel room.
So just to be clear, you were asking to be shown a hotel room with your coworker for inspection purposes.
Yes. They would be
perfect.
With us,
yeah.
So he's like, oh, you're giving me a flake man right away.
Yeah.
So he remembered me, and he said that he used to watch me. He was interested in coming to Japan, and I inspired him to come to Japan. And he mentioned you. And he goes, yes, and you do that show with what is his name?
No one remembers my name. Nobody knows. But I appreciate you for remembering I exist as well.
He remembered you, and he was very, extremely friendly. Such a nice guy. Which is we're not the image that we Americans have of French people. They're being a bit uppity, but it was a really it was a nice experience for me to kind of good for my ego to receive that. Oh, you inspired me to go to Japan, and thanks to you, I started studying Japanese. Oh, and he recommended the Genki books. Do you know those books?
The Genki books.
Yeah,
I do not know the Genki books.
There's the Genki series of Japanese books, which I don't think I've ever used. But Yukari, who's a teacher, Maggie Sensei, I was with Maggie Sensei, so she uses those to teach. She teaches Japanese online. If anyone's interested, hit me up on. She teaches online, and she uses. I think she uses them. Anyway, so it was a fun experience, and it was really cool. He was like, "I'll tell you what, it's cheaper to get." Oh yeah, the reason I actually was inspired for this conversation is he tells us. I said, well, this hotel is beautiful. He says, yeah, and for some reason he started talking about Suzuka. He goes, we get really crowded during the Suzuka.
Oh.
It's not always that crowded, but when Suzuka's in town, when the rallies are happening, it's really packed. Like they stay here to go, because Mia's like an hour away.
Yeah.
But people will stay in Nagoya and then take the train out. And I've been on the train when the Suzuka, all the fans are on it. Packed, everyone's wearing their cool leather jackets,
Yeah.
Anyway,
the race queens.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But anyway, it's a beautiful hotel, and I'll probably take.
So the room passed the test. It'd be awkward after all of that if it turned out the room was shit and you had to awkwardly sort of turn them down. Perfect.
Rooms. Beautiful rooms. If you go online, you can get the rooms for 30,000 yen. But if you pay at the hotel, they're more expensive. So just for anyone who wants to know. For some weird reason in Japan, always booking online is cheaper than going to the actual hotel. Almost always.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that. And by the way, I need to think about that myself because I'm going to be coming into Tokyo.
Yeah.
On the 20th, I'll probably arrive on the 29th.
Okay.
And
nice. It's now on my calendar. Yeah, it's in front of me. That's right. It is on the current month.
So I'll have to get in touch with you to find out. And we, how many tickets do we have? You bought a bunch. I
think it was like 7 or 8, but actually I've got to go through and sort that out now. Now it's getting close. I've got like 2 people who raised their hands that wanted to come along, Tudom and Lara.
And Chris Rennie is coming with me.
Yeah. I think there were some others, and I think I got all the tickets. But yeah, we should sort that out separately. But yes,
Jen, since my mic is a little bit quiet, is that still true? Is my mic still quiet? how's the sound, guys?
Yeah. Is it me being quiet or him being quiet?
No, I think. Yeah, I don't know who. Yeah, it could be me or him. I'm not sure.
Is it me or is Victor's mic cutting out a
There's
bit?
some. I damaged the wire, so it could be that. But I
Oh,
think
it's a shame. It's a nice mic.
Yeah, it's got that old input. This is your USB-C?
No, it's got the old mini USB or whatever.
Right.
That,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you can probably buy one online. But anyway, that was one thing that happened this week. Another huge thing that happened this week was I was invited to. Huge for me. I was invited. I teach a professor.
Yeah.
Sports professor, and he has an acquaintance who works in Tokyo, and they were looking for someone in Nagoya to do some translation for some startup companies. And did you know the word startup is not mainstream Japanese?
Really? Well,
Yeah.
where I work, we have
I'm
a
sure
startup
where you
team.
work.
So where I work, it's normal. But it surprises me.
If
Yeah,
you say
I guess.
work at a startup,
Yeah.
people are like, what does that mean? But the problem with that is actually a company in Japan called Startup.
Oh no. Yeah,
Computer-
I can see that as well. Just to add to it.
Yeah, it's confusing. So
I guess there's two problems actually. One, I mean, the katakana words, old people go their whole lives not even learning, basic katakana words because they just try to resist learning foreign words. But the other part of it is just in Japan, it's really tough to actually do startups compared to like America where it's super easy, right? Like there's always a little bit of cultural and it's hard to get a loan and everything. So there aren't as many startups as there probably could or should be. So it's probably both things. But sorry, continue.
Oh, so it was these 6 companies were meeting. These 3 smaller companies were meeting these 3 huge companies.
Yeah.
I think I can. I'll mention one of them, NTT, because everyone knows that one.
Okay.
So
That's a
NTT
big
is one
one.
of them. One of the big
Yeah.
partners. 3 big
Not a
partners.
startup. Yeah.
Not a startup, and then 6 startups who are trying to get to talk to these bigger companies. And they had a professor from Europe. I don't know how much I should talk about it, so I'll just be vague. A professor from Europe.
Okay.
Graduated from Tokyo University. He's a professor of design.
Yeah.
Okay, and he speaks English, but he doesn't speak Japanese. Although he teaches at a Tokyo University.
Yeah.
So they wanted me to be the liaison between startups and he gives advice to each group. And they sent me all the PDFs, all these PDFs about the business and what they do.
Yeah.
All in Japanese. So I have to read all of this.
Yeah.
And then I have to, in my mind, they're just PDFs, right? I don't know. It's very difficult to understand what I'm looking at, really. But anyway, when I finally get to the meeting and I see who people are, I start to all clicking like, oh, okay, these are the sound guys, these are the VR guys, these are the guys involved with the food and the art and all the different departments, right? And it was a lot of work. And fascinating. And it made me realize that I really got to start studying Japanese because it's a whole field of Japanese that I just do not know. This kind of negotiation. I'm sure you would have been fine.
Well,
right up your alley, but
there's 2 things about Japanese I realized as I was learning Japanese in the early years when I got here, and particularly working in consulting where you go out and you work inside other people's companies for a time. The first thing is you realize that, if I asked you, are you fluent at the language that you speak? Your answer would be, well, of course I am.
Right.
But I could drop you in to a company or a situation that you've never been in before and everyone's using terminology that you don't know. And, you're not, and it's quite possible that there could be a foreigner who works in that field who's more fluent and more able to speak in that field than you are as a native speaker because they just know the lingo. So we're only our whole lives, we're always learning words and concepts and expressions. Right. You never become fully fluent. You're fluent in the situations that you're accustomed to. And in Japanese, I was in this weird situation where I was working in tech and I was fluent in the conversations I was having at work, but I was still struggling sometimes in really basic conversations at the city council just because I wasn't used to talking about taxes or rent. I couldn't talk. I didn't have the vocabulary for the health checkup. I was always stuck, but I could talk about work. So you never really become fluent, and you're not as fluent in your own language as you think you are. Oh, and in Japan, the other thing I was going to say is every company in Japan, as well as like specialized technical fields having different words, Japanese companies have their own weird terminology Like even Japanese people, when they change companies, have often really struggle to deal with the lingo, just the day-to-day lingo that different companies use. And I found that moving around a lot as well. Did you just change your mic? I think it just improved.
Yes.
It was really shit before. It's sounding better now.
Yes, I just realized I realized what Laura said just before she mentioned it. I thought maybe that's what's going on now.
You're using the wrong mic or what?
I was using the wrong microphone, so it was pointless doing this. Now it
was really tinny. It was really tinny. This sounds like a real. Whoa! This sounds like now we're on radio all of a sudden. This is like FM. Yeah.
Much better. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me give you some words and see if you know them. Okay, these are tech words. Okay, and these will be educated. These are English words. Okay.
Okay.
We'll do some easy ones. These are the
English test. Can I pass your English test? Okay.
The first one is METI. METI. Maybe you know this one.
No. Well, you mean the Keizai Sangyo Show?
Yes.
Yes, I deal with them all the time. They're my best friends. Yeah.
Okay, how about this is another easy one. IoT.
It's a ministry, the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry. METI, Keizai Sangyo Show. Sorry. Yes. Next.
IoT.
Internet of Things.
Yes. Okay. KPI.
I also deal with it all the time.
Yes.
KPM is it's a performance KPI performance metric. It's a basically it's a point index.
Customer satisfaction, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. LCA.
LCA. For some reason, I'm thinking both Beastie Boys MCA and RCA connectors on stereos, neither of which are LCA.
This one is life cycle assessment. So basically, how long a product lasts before it has to
when I was an environmental policy consultant, that used to come up. I haven't used it in 20 years, but yeah, I've heard the word. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of these, this one, POC.
Yeah, proof of concept.
Yeah, okay. Then some of these I kind of knew, but I wasn't exactly what they meant. Like RFID, like I wasn't sure exactly what.
Oh, yeah, the tags. The wireless tags, yeah.
Yeah. And here's a couple that were really interesting. DX. This is a funny one.
Yeah, digital transformation or digital something. Yeah.
So they talk
that's my world.
Okay. DX. So I didn't know that X stands for transformation. It seems so weird to me.
Yeah.
E2E. E with number 2 and then E.
Enterprise to enterprise?
Capital letter E, number 2, numerical 2, and then another E.
I'd say enterprise to enterprise. What is it? We said B2B where I am.
End to end.
Oh, end to end. Okay.
And it basically means how long it takes from something to get
for a network.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, network latency. Okay, that's not in the core, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Well, here's a hard one. I guess I can maybe talk about this. So I went to the IG Arena, which is a huge arena, a new arena that they just built in Nagoya last year. And it's by the same people who built like these German companies or something. They built the Crypto.com arena in LA and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Hong Kong. So huge, beautiful arenas where big guys go, right? Your volume is low. Did you check StreamYard?
For me, it's high. Well, you know what? I've got my volume all the way up to hear you. Maybe you should just in StreamYard increase your volume. I'll turn mine down.
Audio, there's no way to increase on StreamYard.
There is. Oh, well, even while streaming, if you go into audio, there is down the bottom mic volume. Under audio, you see there's...
automatically adjust mic volume. Turn it off. Oh, then...
turn that off. Okay. Never turn that on. Never let them never let them have the echo cancellation or anything.
I just increased it. Okay, is that better?
Good. There you go. I don't know. It sounds the same to me, but it was good before for me.
So anyway, this IG Arena where the meeting was taking place, they have amazing tech. The whole place is just it's the most technologically advanced stadium in Japan right now.
Well.
A lot of people want to work there, so it's really beautiful, a lot of fun. So that was a big thing I did this week.
Cool.
My niece graduated. Two of my nieces graduated this week, so I went to one of them. I could only go to one. Yeah. So I went to the one whose father passed away 2 years ago.
Okay.
I remember my wife's brother died.
Yeah. You mentioned,
So I went to that. That was a lot of fun. Interesting. It was just. See all the high school kids graduating in Japan. Very different. Have you been to graduation in Japan?
No.
They're silent.
Yeah, I can see. By the way, we don't have graduations in New Zealand either.
I heard that in England they don't either. But
No,
but some
America's
people, yeah,
kind
we're
of,
crazy.
yeah.
Ours are nuts. We dress up in gowns and throw our hats in the air.
The only graduation I had was university, where you do the gowns and the hats and everything. I skipped mine. I came. I was told my graduation was in mid-April, but I was starting my new job, my graduation job in Japan, from April 1st. And I said, "Hey, can I come after my graduation?" And they said, "Actually, no." I was like, "Yeah, okay." I'd much rather come to Japan than have a graduation.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I skipped it.
I went to both of them, but they were fun. But
Yeah.
I talked to a British man. One of my I know a British guy who told me that that England has adopted some of the American ways. Like when he said when I graduated,
Yeah.
I was in school, and the next day I no longer had to go to school. That was it. There was nothing.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for me too. Yeah.
But he says, but since then, apparently England is starting to adopt some of the American isms, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, well, those are a couple of things that kept me busy this week. A minor. I've got a quick scam thing to confess to.
A scam to confess to. What did you do, Victor?
Well, so I was trying to make a thumbnail, and I was having trouble with Perplexity, which is what I usually use because I've got free Perplexity for 1 year through PayPal.
Yeah.
And I was having trouble, so I thought I'm going to try this other one. So I typed in ChatGPT in Google, and I thought I found it, and it turned out to be a different site that was offering. I used it like 4 times, and then it says to continue, please pay.
Yeah.
So then I realized, this isn't ChatGPT. This is something else.
Yeah.
So I signed out, right? I turned it off, but I had already put in my email.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, I started getting these mails like, "Hey, you left your work unfinished. Come back and check it out." So after the fifth one, I clicked on it, and it said 1 yen for 1 week, or 50 yen for a quarter. So I thought, that's bizarre, but what the hell? 50 yen to get all this, right? I thought, I'm going to do it, and let me...
Click away, Victor. Don't look. Don't do it. Okay, but
So
this is just such a good deal, even though it's obviously a scam. Keep going.
How can I add a picture on this thing again? The bottom?
The plus sign down the bottom.
Share screen, share image file. There we go.
Yeah.
Present. Okay, can I spot in there? Okay, it takes the wheels rolling. So anyway, long story short, I click on the 50 yen, and I pay through PayPal. Automatically, I'm charged $50 instead of 50 yen. And I'm like, what the hell? So I email them, and like, we have no record of you actually having an account here. Complained, got the runaround. I gave up after 5 times because I thought, I'm just talking to AI right now. I don't think that's even a person I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Then
I got you $50. Yeah.
So then I tell PayPal, and they said, "No, what you did was you agreed to pay, so you have to pay." So I'm like, "What?" So then I sent them a screenshot of the 50 yen thing, and the guy who...
Well, I think the scammers just got their revenge. Victor's already shared too much. The scam must continue to live. While Victor resolves whatever novel technical issue has hit our live stream. This is what happens when you... I love PayPal. I just want to say this right now. PayPal, I agree with everything that PayPal has ever said or thought in their entire lives. I actually had a scam the other day. I got called up, and it was a number I didn't recognize. In fact, they called me a couple of times, and I think I was at the gym, and it was annoying. I was in the middle of a run. It was interfering with my run. So I actually stood out of the gym to pick up the call, just in case. It could have been my son's school, or maybe, something like that. But yeah, so Victor's pinging me to give him a second. I will continue filibustering. So I went outside, and there was this lady who's speaking Japanese, but she was speaking good Japanese, but it was a little bit of a Chinesey sort of an accent. And she said, yes, you've signed up with our website for AI services, And yes, we need to arrange for payment. And I'm kind of like, no, I didn't. And it was like so obvious at this point it was a scam call. I was just like, no, I'm going to check my email. And she said, oh, we'll send you an email. And she said to me my name, and she said, this is your mail, and I'm going to send you a mail right now. And the email was basically a whole bunch of ChatGPT generated sort of images. And I looked at it. As soon as I looked at it, I shouted on the phone in Japanese as someone was going into the gym. I was on the phone saying, this is clearly a scam. I'm hanging up the call, and if you call me again, I'm calling the police immediately. And I hang up the phone. And ever since then, I've been getting like random calls from different countries. They're usually European countries, but international codes like every day. It's super annoying. So yeah, somewhere my personal information got onto one of those threads, and I've just been, and the rule is, you never pick up. Honestly, nowadays there's no reason to pick up the phone for anything. And if there's an email of anything that if it's not something that you proactively signed up for or know about, I'll tell you one thing I will say as a lawyer, especially the scam that they were using on this particular thing, where they were saying that, oh, you have an account signed up with us and you have to pay, and they're making it sound very formal. I can tell you as a lawyer, you don't have to pay for anything you didn't agree to or that you didn't sign up for, and no one can pretend that you've done that accidentally. You don't have privity of contract. You're not a party to a contract that you don't know you signed up for. So as soon as someone says that you don't recognize, unless you can verify yourself that it's something that you signed up for, it's not real. And I should have reported them to the police, actually. But anyway, Victor, however, being curious, and it's like, this is exactly like you talking to internet trolls on YouTube, trying to reason, but yeah, why do you think that way? And I'm always like, no, just, hang up and set the phone on fire and, kick it out the window. But I respect you progressing in. So what happened? How did it finish? And I was just saying, everybody thought that PayPal got you the moment you started criticizing PayPal's cancellation policies, and you died. It was pretty obvious that there was a conspiracy happening.
So PayPal would not help me at all.
Yeah.
I sent them this, but I sent them a screenshot, and they said, "Well, you know what? You're right. This does look kind of fishy. Let me kick this up to a higher level and see if they can do something." 2 days later, it said, "Nope, denied again." So then I thought, well, fuck it. I'm not going to waste time because it's costing me more time and money just to send these stupid emails, right? So I said, I just wrote Use AI, this company, and I said, congratulations, you fooled me with a screenshot. And what I'm going to do is just warn people on my YouTube channel because maybe I can save a couple people from getting ripped off by your scam.
Yeah.
Okay, and they wrote me back immediately and said, "Oh no, we're going to give you your money back."
No,
and they gave it back, so I won. Yay. And it's a small victory, but still, it was like
there's something I've heard about this.
It's a threat. I just threatened them that I would make a video about them, and I'm still going to do it. Fuck them.
Yeah. Like 20 years ago, there was a thing. I remember hearing something, I don't know if this still is true today, but there's some logic to this if you're a scammer. Essentially, what they're using people in, often, I mean, I felt tempted to ask, are you trapped in a camp in Myanmar or something right now? This is what they do, right? They capture people just to sit on calls and try to get money out of people. And the goal is just to get as much money out of as many people as possible without them ever reporting it.
Right.
So the cost of someone who can actually retaliate is so high to their business. It's just not worth the cost of one interaction when they can scam little bits out of lots of old people.
Right.
And I remember hearing how, how they used to have all of those old obvious scam emails, the Nigerian princes and stuff like that.
Right. Someone passed away.
And it seems stupid, but I remember hearing that, no, there's actually a psychological reason. There's actually a deliberate strategic reason that's good. By making it kind of obviously scammy, it means that only kind of psychologically or mentally weak people would actually ever click on it. Like, they don't want credulous people responding because those people will be more likely to, report them or make problems for them. They want to target vulnerable people who are, extra gullible or whatever. They want people who believe that there's a Nigerian prince who's left them $1 million. And so they actually deliberately put in all the spelling mistakes and make the story sound unbelievable because they don't want normal people, critical people, to click yes. And I think that's, and so this is the case with you. The moment you showed them that, you might actually make trouble for them, it's not worth their business. Their business is just preying on vulnerable people. And the moment you show you're not vulnerable, it's not worth it for them.
Yeah, I honestly thought PayPal. I've had a problem with PayPal with another company in the past years ago. I don't remember what it was, but PayPal was like, "We'll take care of it." And they took care of it immediately. So I thought I can trust PayPal. And PayPal has kind of a famous reputation for protecting the user, right? But
PayPal's funny because they stop. Was it the credit card company? Maybe it was the credit card companies, but I think they famously they stopped supporting adult sites like OnlyFans for a time.
Oh, really?
And that that nukes that entire sort of business when you stop supporting payment methods like that. So they wield a lot of power over the existence of some businesses. But on the and I remember as well people who would get frustrated that I think if you're located in some countries that are considered associated with scams, like if you live in Thailand, for example, they won't even if you collect payments and they're the middleman holding the payments, they won't release them to the original source sometimes. So this is another thing. They make a lot of money off withholding payments in the middle. They'll collect it. They'll make the transaction go through for you, but they won't let it go through to the scammers, and they'll profit from that. So there's all sorts of dodgy stuff in that world. But so you don't want to get in trouble with PayPal.
It's not the most reputable company, I guess.
Well, you sort of need to do, they're kind of essential for doing business on the internet in a way, but you don't want to get on their bad side. It seems to be the thing.
Well, I asked Perplexity. I said, if I make this video about U.S. Use AI and complain about PayPal, because I thought PayPal was screwing me too. They weren't protecting me, even though obviously I had proof that I'd been scammed. Right, 50 yen is not.
And they block so many people. I know people who have had legitimate payment through problems with their startup businesses or their internet businesses, and PayPal not releasing the money. So the fact that they're like terrorizing normal businesses and they're not taking, in the name of security and protecting people from scammers and stuff, but they're not actually doing a case in an obvious case like yours is pretty bad. Yeah.
So in the end, I after I got my money, out of curiosity, I wrote them again and I said, just out of curiosity, PayPal, why did you give me back the money? Was it because you decided in my favor, or because U.S. Use AI agreed? And they said it was because Use AI agreed. So it wasn't. They weren't protecting me.
Yeah.
So I'm disappointed with PayPal now. But
that's fascinating. I admit, in moments of weakness, when I click on videos that create YouTube rabbit holes that you shouldn't click on, there is a genre of videos of people who trace online scammers.
I like those.
And troll them, and just drive them crazy at Indian call centers and stuff like that.
The cameras and they can tell you who everyone is.
Yeah, and they alter the voice and they pretend to be senile old ladies and stuff like that, and their job is just to waste as much time as possible. And sometimes they even go further. That's right, they actually show their identities and stuff like that. It's kind of satisfying to watch that sort of thing. But dude, again, it's just like with troll commenters on YouTube, where I'm like, just block and delete and forget. And you're like, no, I want to understand their motivation. Deep down, there's a real person. I want to know what's going on with them. I'm impressed and horrified at the same time that you actually did that successfully, no less, with the scammer. I mean, I could not do that.
I was going to give up. I figured, because the thing about it, $50 is not that much. It's just, why waste 3 hours of my day,
Yeah.
So, by the way, who we have, Udatsu Adventure says PayPal only protects the buyer. I'm the buyer, but I was not protected. I was pretty much screwed. Yeah. Thinking about that.
Yeah.
And where is Erin?
PayPal was like, where is Erin? A moderator. I don't know. She's, I don't know if there's bad weather in Indiana, but I hope she's okay.
Okay.
PayPal, that was actually, I think, Elon Musk's original company. Him and Peter Thiel they started. They were like 4 or 5 people that all became super rich
and they sold
somewhat crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, another example of how he got into something that he didn't actually make. Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of people who control the world,
Elon was actually, I think, on a student visa working illegally in America. He was literally an illegal immigrant working when he invented PayPal. But sorry, continue. When he was involved in it.
Oh, Laura says she mentioned she wasn't going to be here today. Okay. Yeah, maybe she mentioned, I forgot. But so let's get to the heavy topic. A couple things. Iran. Yes. We'll ask you first.
As an American.
No, not about Iran yet.
Why?
Iranian people.
Yeah.
Iranian people in Tokyo and around.
Yeah, all over the place in Japan. There's tons in Japan. They're great people.
Yeah. There are a
Love
lot.
Iranian people. They really
But
are
there
great
used
people.
to be more, I think.
Yeah, that's possibly true.
In the
I mean,
1900s.
I eat less kebabs nowadays. I had a couple of regular kebab places that always had Iranian people, and I'd always chat with them when I was going in on my walk home through Shibuya. I kind of have less of a kebab-centric lifestyle nowadays. So maybe it's just I'm not moving in circles. I think you're right, though. I think 20 years ago, when there were fewer foreigners in Japan, Iranians stood out more as a group. Like when of the non-Chinese, non-Korean foreigners,
Yes.
like there were the Brazilians and the Iranians, and they were probably as many of them as there were Americans. Maybe there were more Iranians than Americans in Japan, and that's probably still the case. But now there's so many Vietnamese, there's so many tourists, you don't even notice them anymore. I think it's more likely that.
Right. So I did when I first came here. Central Park. There's a part of Nagoya called Central Park that is all. It's all been gentrified, so to speak. It's all shops and beautiful high-end stores. And that used to be all woods, and it cut through the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And it was all basically woods with a couple of walking paths, and you could go jogging and stuff in it. And at night, if you were to drive your car next to it, some Iranians, usually 90%, I think, would be standing there waiting and saying, what do you need? And they would sell drugs. And if you slow down,
they were associated with the drugs trade in Shibuya as well back in the day.
So I thought,
not that I ever met one like that, but yeah. The ones I met were great, but that was an association. Yeah,
there was an association. So I did a little research on that. I thought maybe it's just Nagoya.
What sort of research did you do?
I just looked it up.
Yeah.
No, look at newspaper. Is there any cases of because I had heard from friends that they work for the Yakuza. The Yakuzas control the top, and they use the Iranians
for distributing. They can leave the country if they get in trouble. Yeah.
So I looked into it, and apparently in Nagoya, no, it said, but in Tokyo, apparently in 1992, and then it peaked in 1998. Like over 220 people, Iranians were arrested in Tokyo for that for distributing drugs.
When I got here, to the extent there was any foreigner panic TV shows, and there wasn't much back in those days, but to the extent there was, they would go into Shibuya Sentogai at night, and there would be Iranians standing on the street corners, and they would say there are some Iranian people selling weed.
But now I don't see them at all.
No, that's right. I don't go to Shibuya at all anymore. Maybe I don't know if they're still there or not, but yeah, you're right. You don't hear about it anymore.
But more importantly, the question was, why are they here in the first place? And I learned that apparently Japan and Iran have a very great friends. What are they called? Reciprocal visa systems or something.
Yeah, so they've got. Well, Iran did a great oil deal with Japan, so Japan actually gets an exception from America to buy sanctioned Iranian oil.
Right.
As part of the price of Japan not having energy security, and so because Iran kindly supplies Japan with so much of its energy, it's kind of low key because Iran's international image is not so great, and Japan's defense is for a country that hates Iran, so they don't do it openly, but quietly Japan has very close ties to Iran and is very, very friendly, and it leads to a lot of the people. Japanese having a generally neutral to positive impression of Iran, and lots of Iranians coming to Japan as well.
And apparently, Iranians have because of what you just said, Japan being willing to buy Iranian oil. The Iranians also love Japan because they think Japan stood up.
Japan's nice to them. Yeah. And
so,
it does. Japan does stand up for them. Yeah.
So this really puts them in an awkward situation.
It's a doubly awkward situation because not only does Japan rely on Iran for oil, and it has a lot of special deals with Iran, but also all the other oil that it gets comes from the other Gulf countries that are not able to ship their oil through the Gulf of Hormuz right now. And Japan gets 90% of the energy in Japan, the electricity that we have right now, the streaming coming to you is powered by, it needs to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and it's either from Iran or Iran's got a chokehold on it stopping it right now.
Right.
So, Japan's in a real bad spot with all of this.
I was surprised about that because I thought with Russia being so close, why don't they get some from Russia? But no, it's 90% from the Middle East.
when I first got here, and for a long time, I always thought that, Japan still technically is, World War II is still continuing with Russia. It doesn't have a peace treaty with Russia. And the main dispute is they won't finish it all up because of those 4 islands just off Hokkaido.
Right.
Which frankly have no real value whatsoever. There is oil in that area, but it's mainly of Sakhalin, and Japan's not trying to claim Sakhalin, even though Japan did have half of Sakhalin as well. Right. And I always thought, the value, Russia was always trying to develop the Far East. It was always trying to develop all the oil and everything in that part of the country, which is hard to ship across the whole country. And, the value to Russia in getting a peace treaty with Japan and shipping all of the gas and all the oil and everything from there down to Japan and having Japan just buy everything and making Russia rich. Surely the economic value of that outweighs any kind of weird nationalist pride over 4 shitty islands that no one gives a shit about, that has no value. But it turns out for the Russians, it does. The national pride does matter more than that.
Wow.
I guess they figure they can sell the oil anytime. And it just shows to me how completely irrational the Russians are. That you talk about, what such an obvious, Japan should be getting all of its energy getting piped in from a friendly, democratic Russian neighbor and helping it become prosperous and being best friends. And Russia will literally punch itself in the face for the sake of, vodka-based pride. I don't know. It's just weird, the country there.
Nice way to put it. I would have said in the balls, but okay.
Yeah, they're kicking themselves in everything right now, over stupidity. I mean, and what they did in Ukraine is an extension of that mindset, that it's just crazy. So as a result, Japan buys a lot of its stuff from Iran, and it's in a problem right now.
And in the Middle East, right? Yeah. Crazy stuff. So, rumors I've heard. Yeah. China has oil reserves for the next 3 months.
Japan does for 2 months, 200 days.
Okay. So at that time, the world economy is going to collapse.
That's well, certainly you don't want it to go on for too long, and it's not just China. I mean,
if it continues.
Yeah. I mean, China, Europe, all the gas in Europe, they switch from Russia. When Russia stops supplying gas to Europe, they switch to Qatar, and it gets piped across, but they've stopped all those pipelines right now because Iran's attacking them.
Right.
So, I think Europe's on the same thing. Like after about 2 months, everyone's buffer stock runs out and it starts getting crazy. I'm sure America has a really great plan for all of this. I'm sure they thought this through thoroughly.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like they would just impulsively start bombing a country in order to draw attention away from the fact that the president was best friends with a pedophile. I'm sure there's much better reasons.
I'm seeing a lot more people refer to him we have a pedo for a president. I mean, they're just directly saying he's a pedophile.
Yeah, well,
becoming much more common now. So I'm kind of interested in that.
And the fact that of all the things that they actually, you saw that they, I mean, I won't go any deeper into this, but the fact that of all the files that they released, 3 million files, they directly forgot, or they accidentally duplicated and forgot to release the files that had actual sexual assault accusations against the president that were known to exist.
I heard yesterday or this morning that they released those files. Just today, but
they did, because everyone knew they were there, and they said, what the hell? And so they had no choice but to release them. They said, we accidentally identified them as duplicates. You identified those ones accidentally as duplicates and bombed the country. That's fine.
Tony says PDF is the politically correct term. Yes, we're supposed to say PDFs.
Oh, God.
PDF.
But I don't know what's going on. I mean, look.
The question for you. Look at this question. Will this strengthen the yen? I have no idea.
The yen's gotten cheaper. What's happening right now is the US dollar is going up. A lot of people worried that Europe and Asian stock markets are all falling. And Europe basically is cut off from Russia, and it's cut off from Middle East for energy and stuff like that, and is facing a crisis. And apparently it's making the dollar rocket up in value. A lot of people are taking their money in other parts of the world and saying we better bring it back here for safety. So the US dollar is going up, and the yen has gone down 5 yen, I think, over the last week. Not good for the Japanese yen. Not good for me traveling outside of Japan anyway.
Wow. And no Japanese politicians are really speaking out about this at all. Sakaichi apparently said she's sorry this is happening, but she didn't. She offered no support for the attacks.
You can't really support. I mean, Takaichi is visiting America, I think, in a couple of weeks. So she's trying to set up, she's going to be over there saying we're a great friend and a great ally who, really wish we could join you in the invasion, but we can't because of that constitution that you made us sign. But we really wanted to, but we can't. So she'll go over there and do that. So, of course, Japan's whole mission with America, when America is periodically, sniffing glue, is to basically have nothing but positive engagements and then try not to draw attention to itself in the other times. And so that's what she'll do. She'll go over there, try to have a very good friendly trip, and get out without drawing any negative attention, and just keep your head down at the back of the class until the term is over. If it's ever over.
Now, socially, something that I think we should tell our viewers that something that's very different about Japan is that people don't talk about this stuff at all in public.
No. Even in private, there has to be like safety for it. Like, even with co-workers, the idea of talking politics at work is a minefield, So you actually have to have an affirmative. It's okay for us to talk politics first, and there are very few people that will give you that. And if you just start talking it's talking like politics or sex or religion, people will just start avoiding you. It's.
I made an observation today. You know how America we have. I'm doing my English lessons, and I was teaching fear and phobias. I did a very basic, low-level Shokyu lesson. Then I went to phobias. Then I went to physical phobias like acrophobia, claustrophobia.
It's becoming like a Greek lesson.
Arachnophobia, right?
Yeah.
And then the next lesson, these are all just minute, short videos. But the next video was about social phobias, right? Transphobia, Islamophobia, fat phobia, homophobia, transphobia, all these, right?
Yeah.
Transgender. So anyway, then I started thinking today. I got a test for you. Now Japan doesn't have the phobia words like we do, but they have the harassment words. I mean, in daily conversation, they have all kinds of harassment. They have sekuhara, pawahara, aruhara, right?
Yeah.
And there's another. I forgot this one.
Well, so Japanese will say kyofushin for fear. So they'll just say something kyofushin. So there is the concept of phobia, but people they don't say it very often.
They don't really say. Do they say gaikoku kyofushin?
Oh no, xenophobia. No. Well, again, they're not Greeks, so Greeks attach it, and like phobias can be literally so when Japanese say phobia, they mean literally like arachnophobia or fear or claustrophobia, but they don't mean it as in homophobia, because homophobes are not really like phobia in the sense of being afraid of.
Shia Beowulf is
prejudiced.
Did you hear about
Shia
that?
Beowulf.
Shia LaBeouf. I don't know how to say his name. Shia Beowulf. How do you say his name?
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, LaBeouf. So did you hear what he said the other day?
What did he say?
He was arrested in like St. Louis for attacking. It was a hate crime because he apparently attacked some homosexuals, and he went on a talk show and he says, "Look, when a big homosexual guy, a big gay guy touches me, I'm scared. I'm scared. So does that make me homophobic? Then I guess that's what I am. But that's why he punched the guy.
I mean, I suppose. If he is actually afraid, I mean, is the problem that he's homosexual, or is the problem that he's big? I mean, a big, scary person. If then I could believe that's really scary. But the fact that they're also homosexual, what are you afraid of? You're just prejudiced. You're just a bigot at that point. The idea, honestly, what I dislike about words like xenophobia and homophobia is that in a way they're kind of almost granting an excuse to someone who's just a bad person, right?
Hang on,
I think Japanese is correct. Japanese are correct. These people are just assholes. They don't have real phobias. They're just bad people, and we're just granting them a pass by saying that they have a fear, like they're afraid of spiders. No, they're not. They're just assholes. Shia LaBeouf, case in point.
You see transgenders in Tokyo publicly sometimes?
Publicly?
Yeah,
I mean
I see them in Nagoya. I see them on the subway. I see them walking around.
Yeah,
I see them in toilets.
I'm going to the wrong toilets. I think if you go to Shinjuku Nichome, no, there's no problem at all. No, none. Japanese are. Yeah, if you go to Nichome. There's a whole neighborhood in Tokyo that is primarily it's for LGBTQ, X, but it's primarily for gay people. But they have cross-dressing bars and and people who, yeah, you see people in that. But often people who cross-dress, I think they cross the, they change clothes. At Shinjuku, in the big crowds, they'll dress, anonymously, and then when they get into Shinjuku Nichome, they'll put on their makeup and stuff like that. But in that neighborhood, it's cool, and it's not that it's out of a prejudice per se. It's more just wanting to. It's like cosplayers. There's rules for cosplaying conventions where it's considered bad manners to be in cosplay wear on the train, or to be, you're supposed to go to the venue and then
and train,
transform.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never see them walking around.
I think it's just a Japanese thing about trying just to be anonymous, especially in Tokyo, to be anonymous when you're in between or in crowded areas or whatever. But once you get to the event, which can be outside or whatever, or when you're in the safe area for that, you do it. It's not out of a prejudice. It's just out of a general trying not to stand out.
Mm.
Yeah, but you do see, sure, you see, and you don't think twice about it. Like, what's there to think about?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But and I think from what I understand, America's very different. But anyway, here's a quiz for you. Okay.
Yeah.
You know all the harassment expressions.
Yeah.
You know many of them. There's one I can't remember. Maybe you can remember. It's one for smell. A smell.
Oh, smehara. What's it? Kusahara?
Smehara. Yeah, I think it's called smehara.
I think it might have been smehara. Yeah, I remember vaguely.
So what does that mean? That someone in your company stinks and it's bothering you?
You bother people, but you know what? It's not just like homeless people smelling bad. It's people who wear too much cologne or perfume or hairspray, or something that gives off, odors that make it impossible for other people to do their things, that are distracting levels.
Well, it is distracting. Yeah, a woman walked by getting on the subway and on the platform, and as soon as she walked by, I was like, "Oh wow!" And I looked around to see if anyone else was reacting because it was so strong.
But imagine if you're working sitting next to that person in an open plan office, and you've got to sit there all day next to them, and you can't go anywhere else, and you have to get your work done. It kind of becomes harassment at a certain point, even if it's not intentional. Harassment implies they do it on purpose, but yeah.
I got a quick story on that. 3 years ago, I was subbing. I think I talked about this. I was subbing at a university, and I was in the teacher's room. They gave me a desk. I wasn't there every day, but I had my own desk, and there was a guy that was sitting on the next row over, and right in front of me there was this beautiful teacher, beautiful. She was a babe, okay, gorgeous, well dressed, very pretty, and she wore perfume.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't really notice it, nothing abnormal, but a couple days later, I noticed the guy was acting very strange, and then the next time I came there, like the next week, he was gone. And he had moved to a different desk. And apparently, I said, "What happened to that guy?" Because they said, "Oh, he's over there now."
Yeah.
2 rows over, right? And he had apparently gone to the principal, or whoever's in charge of all the teachers. I don't know, but he'd gone to the person who lays out all the desks and gotten special permission to move his desk and complained because of that particular reason, that her too strong.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's how you frame it to HR. Yeah. I you know what? That reminds me of a similar kind of a story, not about smell specifically. Mm-hmm. One of the most beautiful people I've ever worked with actually was the Miss Contest pageant winner for her university or something, and was at an office that I was in. I was in a different part, but my team was spread out across different locations. But in one location, there were 80 people sitting in the same area. And she wasn't she was in the second most senior sort of a tier. So, an open office, they have all the seats according to seniority, and the senior people sit by the window, and you go more junior as you sort of go in away from the window along these rows of desks. And this woman who basically wanting to maintain her fair complexion would close all the blinds on all the windows all day, every day. And whenever someone tried opening them, she would go turn them off. She would go close them down again, and everyone was in permanent darkness. And people were complaining about it. So the manager called her in and said, "Hey, can you please stop closing all the blinds? Everybody here is getting depressed, living in darkness all the time."
Right? Yeah. You need
and she
light.
said, "Oh, And she said, I have a condition. I'm very sensitive to sunlight. I can't be in sunlight, so I need to close all the curtains. There cannot be, I can't be exposed to sunlight. And my boss was like, well, if it really bothers you, you can sit, like further, you can sit more towards the interior away from the window where the sun doesn't hit you directly. You don't have to make it dark for everybody. And she was, no, but I'm a deputy senior manager. I can't sit with all the plebeians over there. I have to sit by the window. It's a reflection of my seniority. But my boss, who was not very tolerant of such people, she wasn't there for very much longer after that. But she was very good looking.
Well, take care of us then. Yeah. Now we know what.
Yeah.
Well, I got a quiz for you though. What is maruhara?
Maruhara.
This is a new one.
Morahara.
No.
Not moral harassment.
Not moral
okay.
harassment.
Maruhara.
Maruhara. It's a new one. I just
circle harassment.
Yes.
What? How can a circle be harassment?
The
creativity that goes into harassment.
Half the people I've talked to don't know what it is. Half people do, and it's always young people know. Young people don't. Okay.
Yeah.
So
6'7". Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's got to be some sort of harassment right there. Okay, what's maruhara?
Okay. Online.
Yes.
When you send a message to someone.
Yeah.
If you write a sentence to someone, do you write a maru at the end?
Oh. I've heard of this. Yes. Oh, well, you know what? I've heard even in English. I've heard that like for the millennials and the Gen Zs take a period at the end of a sentence on a text as being really passive aggressive. This is that, right?
Yes.
It's taken as like a harsh, like the end, fuck you kind of a thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. This exists in English. Yeah.
What's it called in English?
Japan is just far beyond our capabilities in terms of linguistic adaptation to forms of harassment. Japan is decades ahead in the field of development of ways of harassing people. That they have terminology for this, but it exists. I've heard of this. I've heard that. Yeah, you got to take off the periods on the end of sentences.
Right. So, when I make my little short videos.
Yeah.
The editing software automatically adds no punctuation to anything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying. And I think now it might be on purpose. Because I watch other people's reels and they don't have punctuation either.
Yeah, Tony, they're laying it out. People ending sentences with a period is definitely angry, and you can tell how angry he is about it because he finished that particular sentence with a period.
Look at the next sentence; it's got 3 periods. Look at this.
3 periods. I mean, I just feel the rage flowing through the screen.
It's even worse when people do this.
It makes you sound so condescending.
I see. Okay. So I did not know that, but apparently people are afraid of lining.
You think you're so smart just because you can read and write. I mean, literacy is now like aggressively intimidating towards people. I think this is how society ends. I think this is how the Roman Empire probably finished. They probably stopped. They were like chiseling in sentences onto buildings, and they just decided to stop putting in the periods. And that's pretty much when the Germans saw, hey guys, that's our signal to go. They've stopped editing the sentences.
So my wife notices this because she emails people with work and she knows about this, but usually older people don't know about it at all, but all the younger people do, which is crazy.
Dan is asking, have I experienced bald harassment in Japan?
Yeah, I was going to point that out to you.
You got to point out that I'm bald. I've noticed. Okay, you don't have to point it out. Well, it's right there. I see it every day.
Well, we should point out that though in the West, being bald is not a big deal at all. Is it a big deal at all?
I think it used to be. I think it used to be more than now. I say thank God for Bruce Willis, Jason Statham, and the action heroes, and Vin Diesel. Thank you for the triumvirate of people who have made it okay for people not to have to wear toupees.
Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne Johnson. Yes. Thanks to the pantheon of people with good shaped craniums. So that's definitely changed. But when I was a kid, I mean, my mum would joke when my dad's hair started. He never got as bald as me, by the way. But my mum would joke that she'd divorce him if he got fat and bald. He was allowed one of the two. That's 1950s sort of. So I think it used to be like this. In Japan, I wouldn't say zero. Yeah, I'm comfortable enough in my own skin that I can handle it. When it's harassment, it's more people making jokes about me making a reference to it as something funny. And it's happened probably less than 10 times in 20 years, but it's happened, so I can't say it's zero. But, honestly, my reaction is, my head is awesome. I don't even understand what you're talking about. I'm pretty comfortable. It's just more aerodynamic, and I have faster showers. It's more efficient.
Well, we have to point out to those of people watching who don't know this that in Japan, people do use it as a way to. In fact, you call it konohage. Even if you're not bald, people will say this bald son of a bitch. Even if you're not bald, I've heard people say that.
Oh yeah. It's like oyaji, right? It's like a kind of konohage, konoero, kono. Yeah, they'll say it if they're. But again, honestly, I've always found that the best comeback, whenever there's been a kind of konogaijin or whatever, like when people start pulling out those kind of things, I've told you how I've pulled out the old tansoku put down and made someone cry before. Ooh. Like you talk about hurtful ways to get back at people, pointing out that they have stumpy legs.
Tansoku is someone who has short legs.
So funny.
And it's really bad in Japan.
In Japan, it is just about the harshest.
Most people have shorter legs. I mean, but if you point it out, it's like, oh my god.
I mean, young Japanese are getting to be more shaped like Europe. They're getting taller, longer limbs and everything. But the traditional Japanese, partly due to there not being enough nourishment in the Japanese diet, like back in the 30s and the 20s, when Japanese were shorter, they would have long torsos and shorter legs, and it's associated with poverty. And the pre-war sort of period, all these people. So it's, and genetics are part of it as well. So, but you talk about you can never put people down in Japan for things that they can't control. But there again, they put people down for baldness. I mean, I've never really gotten it that badly that I've had to fire back a tansoku bomb over that. I've used tansoku 2 or 3 times, and I think at least one of those times I directly made someone cry when I said it. So I've learned it's like a bomb you must never drop.
Wow.
Jane Mott's asking, how did I make someone cry? There was I was like 24, and there was a co-worker, all my dorky, there was like a girl who was the best looking girl in our 100 group of hires, and I was into her. And she was actually into me, but we were keeping it low key so other people wouldn't find out. But a guy who was a bit of a dickhead, who was on the project with me, we were out drinking, and he confessed to me, actually, I really like that girl. I see you're friends with her. You think you can put in a good word for me? To which I said, oh, I'm sorry, dude. She doesn't like tansoku guys.
Oh.
And he started crying. And I didn't care because it was...
Just a minute. I was Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because they wouldn't, Okay, wow.
Yeah, everyone involved. I was the only non-Japanese person in the whole formula.
I see.
And I was like, hey, don't move in on my woman. I was like, I basically put the knife straight into him as soon as he there was no sweep the leg, no mercy. As soon as he said that, I went straight for the tansoku, and he started crying.
The other weird thing about Japan is not just the other short legs, but when I worked at the YWCA, I was a head teacher there, and I would hang out with the other teachers. And one of my coworkers invited me to dinner with her family, and it was like a Christmas party or something.
Yeah.
And her nephew or cousin or some family relative came over.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a big party. And he was pretty short. Nice guy, smart guy, friendly guy, handsome guy, but short.
Yeah.
And after he left, or the next day, I don't remember when, but she talked about him. She said, "Yeah, it's such a shame." Oh, maybe I said something nice, like, "Oh, he's a really funny guy. I like that guy." She said, "Well, yeah, it's such a shame he's never going to get married." And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? Why?" She goes, "Well, because he's so short. Who would marry him?" And it never occurred to me that would be a reason to never get married.
There was a big controversy on the internet in Japan about a year ago now. There was some streamer woman who said online, and it made huge headlines. She said, men shorter, I think, was it 165 centimeters? It wasn't that short, but it was kind of short.
Have no right to live or something?
Well, she said that basically men who are shorter than 100, I think someone asked her, are you open to dating shorter guys? And I think her response was, as far as I'm concerned, men shorter than 165 centimeters do not have human rights. That was her response, drinking the night. It wasn't that they don't have a right to live, it was that they don't have human rights. And apparently, a lot
You're
of
right.
her fans
Esports.
and
It
a
was
lot of
esports pro. She was marked.
esports. Was it 165? I think it was 165.
Kanatani.
Was it
Known
170
as
or 165? Yeah. What was the
165. 165.
165. So the thing is, yeah, if it was like 170, that's a difficult bar in Japan. There's a lot of people below. 165 is still in the range of what I consider normal in Japan. It is, but yeah.
No, I'm sorry. She said 165 is short, and if you're not 170, please live your life thinking that you don't have any human rights. So it's actually 170.
170. So okay, 170 is a bit tough, for Japanese, because that's well in the range of what's normal. But for a woman to say that you don't deserve to be loved or get married, basically you should have no human rights if you're a man and you're less than 170. It's kind of a harsh statement. She was making as a bit of a dark joke, but a lot of her enamored, infatuated fans who clearly didn't meet her criteria didn't take it very well, as can happen on the internet, and it turned into a huge thing. But you hear in America, it's kind of a thing nowadays, how on dating sites, men have to write that they're 6 foot or above, or they don't get any responses or something. I've heard about that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. 6'1.5", but doesn't really make any difference. But I do qualify. 185 centimeters.
What's the female equivalent to that?
I don't know. I don't think guys are as picky about tall. I think guys are okay if girls are short, right? I think there are a lot of guys who have problems if the women are taller than them.
What would be the thing that women would lie about? Maybe there. I know, body count.
Body count.
Do you put that on dating sites? I have no idea. I have no idea. Do
I put body count on dating sites?
Not you particularly, but people do that.
That's a complicated. There's a lot of parts to break down.
Body count.
Do dating sites have the body count? I
don't know.
Is that a parameter? I don't know. Maybe we should create profiles and see what happens. Name Hikosaemon, body count 10,000. And I'm free, girls.
You should do two different. Same picture and two different profiles. One with a black person's name.
Yeah.
And a low body count, one with a white person's name and a high body count. The black.
The outcome of either of these scenarios is PayPal would just block both of us. So yeah.
Is there a problem with being too tall? Currently standing at 6'9", really?
Hey, James.
Wow.
I don't know. I think. Well, again, I can't speak from the perspective of someone into dudes.
You're 6'4", right? How tall are you? 6'3"?
I'm 6'1". I'm a bit under 6'1". I'm over 6. But 6'9". So 6'9", you'll do fine in life. There are lots of people who the taller the better, guys. Your difficulty being 6'9", particularly even in Tokyo, you'll have problems at 6'9". But if you go to Fukuoka or pardon me, the older parts of Japan, the Western Japan, I'm 6'1", and I hit my head. I got so many lumps on my head, hitting my head on doorways and
the average
everywhere.
Door size is 180 centimeters in almost all.
Yeah. Right? Tokyo is better than that. Tokyo, I don't have to worry about my head, but I go down to Fukuoka, and I'm permanently hunched over. Yeah, and it's just on that right thing where it's just above my eye line, but it's below. It's fully on my temple, and I just kept hitting my head everywhere. 6'9", at least you'll see it coming, but I don't know. You'll be bending over everywhere in those sort of places. So that's the difficulty. If you're in anywhere with old architecture from when the tall people used to be 165 centimeters, 6'9", yeah, that's more than 2 meters, isn't it? You must be 205. But there again, heaps of Kiwi rugby players in Japan taller than that here. But you struggle for clothes. You struggle for you'll find it probably more challenging than living in the Netherlands, for example.
Time is 190 centimeters. How tall is that?
Wow. That's pretty tall. That's I'm 185, so that's 8 centimeters taller than me, which is about 3 inches taller. So he's about 6'4", 6'5". Tall guy.
Yeah, let me look that up. I can never calculate. 193.
Dan H says on Japanese Tinder, Dan H got more questions about if he had his own business in Japan and if he could employ them, and questions about crypto. 6'3".
Oh, so 6'9" is really tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a giant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 6'9" is above 2 meters.
I had a short student once. This is literally 25 years ago, and we were talking about she she was talking about. She liked some guy who was tall. She liked the tall
Yeah.
guy, right? And I was, we're in a big group joking around after class, and I said, "Well, how's it going to work? I mean," I said, "He's too tall. You can't kiss him. He's too tall for you, right?" That guy. She goes, "It doesn't matter in the bedroom." So that would be my answer for you.
Well, and sometimes you see there's like a little chihuahua and a greyhound, and you hear stories about they had puppies, and you'd be sitting there thinking, how'd they do it? But it happens. There I know plenty of couples like that.
When I was a boy, I had a great German Shepherd, huge German Shepherd, and a Maltese, little white Maltese. They were best friends, and they would escape together. They were both men, so they're both boys. I mean, not men, both males. But they're good buddies. Yeah, wouldn't worry about it too much. But well, listen, we got to wrap it up. What time's your flight tomorrow?
Early. I'm going to get out of here at 6:30 a.m. So I've got to get up early, and I haven't finished packing at all either. But I also did put down that I would do an after party, which I will do. So there'll be a link for that.
Okay.
But I'll play some music, but then I'll go.
Okay, we will announce the next one. You want to announce it now, or?
Well, basically, we aim for the first weekend of each month. So the first weekend of May.
First Sunday of.
April.
April.
Whenever that is, possibly the second. We'll see what's happening, but yeah, we'll go for the first weekend next month. Okay. Yeah, we didn't even get to talking about Chris Broad or anything like that. Not that there's much to talk about.
Apparently, there's some rumors that Chris Broad. Someone talked about him. Some legal mindset guy.
That was like 2 months ago, though. I watched the video today. I watched it today. I mean, I get it. I think the whole thing. No, there's nothing to it. Look, the whole point of it for me is, I think the lesson here is, Chris. Just because you feel, I can understand Chris feeling like, why am I even doing this? I work so hard, and then this person makes low effort content and does so well. But making a video complaining about that to the whole world, and making yourself like you're some sort of a victim of this, or you're really annoyed by this, and you're framing it like you're standing up for, and then doing some shitty things in the middle of how that was edited together, just to completely backfire. It's a thing. Just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you should show it to everybody, just like your asshole. And he did, and he hopefully is not homophobic. Because he's having things done to him, and clearly he's come out worse. Clearly, I would say the only thing that I don't think she can get defamation is that I think she came out ahead on this. I would be really surprised if she didn't increase her subscribers and followers from this whole kerfuffle.
Check, I haven't seen.
I think lots of people who never heard of her probably have heard of her now, and I think she came out of this looking better than him, and which just says there's no need for him. I understand him feeling what he felt, but he didn't need to make that video in the first place, and I think it backfired on him.
The initial complaint was kind of a waste,
but that's it. But there again, thank you, both of you, for giving us great content to talk about.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think they'll both move on, and
April
that's
5th,
good for everyone.
Maybe the next one will be April 5th.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sunday.
And actually, even before that, of course, you'll be up here, so we'll record something or other anyway. Yeah. So you'll see us before then anyway.
You know Bill Kunk?
Sorry.
Bill Kunk.
BLKUNK, yeah, Bill Kunk, yeah.
He's got a
Black
restaurant.
Unicorn.
Him and his wife run a restaurant in near Tokyo. I have not been there yet. Of course, have you been?
I've not been. In fact, now that you mention it, I think I remember hearing something about that.
It's called like La Mexicana or something, La Mexiponista or something.
Okay.
It's Mexican food because they lived in Mexico for a while. And
Americans in Tokyo all complain that there isn't good Mexican food here. That said, I've been to America and there wasn't good Mexican food there either. But if he's got a good Mexican place, that's actually worth finding because they are hard to find in Tokyo.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to go, but maybe we can go together. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, that'd be great. That's a great idea. That'd be a great idea.
Some people, if anyone wants to be in Tokyo and join us for dinner, we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out.
Look at the socials. We might be being social. We might do a get together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there we go. There's our logo.
There's the high tech. No AI involved. All old fashioned special
Thanks
effects.
for joining us, guys. I will start getting active again tomorrow. I've been busy, but I will start getting active again tomorrow. Go have your after party and have a great.
I'll do my after party for about half an hour, and then I'll go pack my suitcase. So come and join me for the after party. We'll play some tunes, and then I'll go to sleep. So have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Boom. Bald guy is off. You